Okay, let's go with me to Exodus chapter 20, verses 18 through 20. Exodus 20. Exodus 20, 18 through 20. And I'm going to read ISV because I feel like it puts it in a better, I like the verbiage better. Nope. Okay, right there. Let's read this. All of the people experienced, before we read. Moses leads people out of Egypt. And Moses, he's taking those people to the place where the only place he knows, where God encountered him, which is the Mount of Sinai. And he's taking the people of God to have a similar encounter with the Lord. He wants them to know their God like he knows him. It's an excellent idea. It's a wonderful idea. That's what every leader, that's what every pastor, prophet, apostle, teacher, evangelist, that's the goal as our leaders, is to lead people into encountering God, not just providing a great experience. Now, having a great experience and all of that, demonstrating God's power, it's all important, but it's a means to an end. And the end is encounter with your Maker, with your Creator, with your Savior. Exodus 20, 18 through 20. So, against this background, let's read this verse. They come to the mountain, and the Lord begins to manifest himself. They begin to experience the Lord. The Bible says the lightning, the thunder, the clouds, the smoke on the mountain. And verse 18 states this: all of the people experience the thunder and lightning, the sound of the ram's horn, and the smoking mountain. As the people experienced it, they trembled and stood at the distance. They told Moses, "You speak to us and we will listen, but don't let God speak with us or we will die." Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid, for God has come to test you, so that you might fear him in order that you don't sin." Then people stood at the distance, and Moses approached the thick cloud where God was. So listen to this. Moses says, "Hey guys, come experience the Lord. Come, let's have the encounter with the Lord." But people, they chose to stay at the distance. They chose to just settle for the experience. And now, the experience was great. The experience was wonderful. The experience was marvelous. Thunder and lightning, the sound of a ram's horn, the cloud of smoke is filling, God's glory is enveloping the mountain and the people, and people are trembling. They're experiencing all this stuff. And instead of coming closer so they can hear God speak to them directly, so they can see God face to face like Moses did, they came to Moses and said, Moses, listen, we're good here. We're good at the distance. We're good at the experience. They chose not to go further for the encounter. Today, I want to challenge you to not stay at the distance. What I mean by that is that God says, "Draw unto me, and I will draw unto you. Seek me, and you will find. Wait upon me." The Lord is calling us to come up his mountain, the mountain of his presence, the mountain of his glory, and not just come to the mountain to experience the presence and experience the glory, But to go further past the experience into genuine encounter of the essence of God, of who God is. Are you with me so far? Are you understanding what I'm saying? To encounter the Lord, two things that you must do. Two things that you must do to encounter the Lord. First, you must have a desire. A desire to have intimacy with the Lord. A desire to have encounter with the Lord. Now, let me make this first clear. Is that you can't initiate the encounter with God, but you can position yourself to experience it. You know, oftentimes we say like, "Oh, I was living my life, and I was in the darkness, and I was, I was miserable, and then I found the Lord." I understand what you're saying, but you did not find the Lord. The Lord found you. The Lord found you. You did not find the Lord. And then you responded to the Lord. So you have to understand that encounters with the Lord, and I'm talking about these deep, life-changing moments with Him, are not initiated by you, but you can position yourselves to have those encounters. Are you with me? One of the first ways that you position yourself is to have a desire to encounter the Lord. Having a desire to have a deep encounter with the Lord. Have a deep desire to encounter the Lord. You have to have this resolve, like Apostle Paul says, that I count all things as garbage in comparisons of the knowledge of knowing Christ. To know Christ was his life goal. That knowledge that he talks about is the encounter, because you can't know God without encountering Him. How can you know somebody without meeting them? You can't. You can't. You can't know somebody without meeting them, without having an encounter with them, without having many encounters with them. And so it starts with this posture of heart, with this desire. Lord, I want to know you. Lord, I don't want just to know about you, but I want to have this deep, intimate encounter with you, where you become real to me, where I encounter you as a person, not just your presence, not just your glory, not just your miracles or your power, but you, the great I am. See, Israelites, they've experienced God in tremendous way. God was leading them with a pillar of fire and cloud. They saw Him, as we read, on this mountain manifest Himself. They saw His great deliverance power. They saw His great provision power, breakthrough power. They saw Him manifest as a great protector. I mean, they experienced God in many different ways, but they stopped short, and they had an opportunity at the mountain to have an encounter with the Lord, but they chose to stay at the distance. So first and foremost, to have the deep desire to encounter God. Number two, make room for the encounter. Create room or make room for the encounter. What do I mean by that? If you want to have encounters with the Lord, if you want to have an encounter with the Lord, you have to make room, make time, create space to have these deep encounters with Him. Bible says you have to have a secret closet that you go in. And when you get there, pray to the Father who's in heaven. A place of no distraction, a space, a time that you set aside to have encounters.